If you're like me, you've seen all the big name slashers, Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street. But what about the little guys that never get as much love as they deserve? Well, today I've got you covered because we're diving into 10 underrated slasher films that are just as brutal and creepy as the classics. And trust me, some of these are seriously slept on, so grab your popcorn, turn the lights off, and let's dive into it. Alright, kicking off our list at number 10, we have The Burning, which is definitely one of the better camp slashers out there. It even gives Friday the 13th a run for its money, in my opinion. You have a group of teens at a camp being hunted down by a disfigured caretaker named Cropsey, who after a prank goes terribly wrong was badly scarred and burned. What sets The Burning apart? Well, the gore for starters, not to mention Tom Savini did all of the practical effects, so you already know that they're at the top of the list. And let's talk about that famous raft scene. If you know, you know. Slaughter galore. It's brutal, it's fun, not to mention we get some early performances here from Jason Alexander, Holly Hunter, and Fisher Stevens. Yep, before they were famous, they were getting slashed up at summer camp. Who knew? Next up, coming in at number 9 is Intruder, and it is so criminally underrated. It's set inside a grocery store, which is a very unique location for a slasher for that time. The killer is maniacal, and it does not hold back on the practical effects, and we get some amazing kills. And not only that, if that wasn't enough, it's co-written by Scott Spiegel, who worked on Evil Dead 2. Need I say more? And if you wasn't convinced already, how about you get Ted Raimi, Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell all in the same movie? Oh yeah, it's a good one. The kills are gnarly, the atmosphere is tense, and the finale goes right off the rails into bonkers territory. So if you love slashers with that Raimi-style insanity, Intruder is a must-watch. You won't regret it. Coming in at number 8, it's the Prowler, and I'm going to tell you right now, this one is brutal. Once again, Tom Savini heading up the practical effects department, and this movie gave us some of the most brutal kills of the 80s. The setup is simple. A mass killer dressed as a World War II soldier terrorizes a town during a college dance. And in my opinion, what makes this movie really stand out was the atmosphere. It's dark, it's mean-spirited, and it does not spare showing all the gory details. And that pitchfork scene? Absolutely brutal. Next up, number 7, we got Stage Fright. That's right, Italian horror fans, this one's for you. Stage Fright's a very stylish and suspenseful slasher that borrows from the giallo films as well as classic horror tropes. The visual style in this movie is absolutely next level, one of my favorite things. The movie follows a group of actors locked in a theater while they're being chased around by a killer wearing a giant owl mask. It's actually really terrifying. Because for a killer wearing a giant mask, he's fast, brutal, and relentless as hell. One of the best things about Stage Fright is its visual style. The lighting, the kills, it's all executed so brilliantly. It's like Dario Argento meets Friday the 13th. If that don't sell you on it, I don't know what else to say. Coming in at number 6, we're going back to summer camp with Madman. That's right. Do you dare say the name of Madman Mars? This one leans into campfire legend territory where if you speak the name of Madman Mars, he comes back to life and brutally slaughters you. Now this is one of the slower burn slashers on the list, but once the horror kicks in, you can't peel your eyes from the screen. The movie's got a real 80s cheesy charm to it. You have an intimidating, massive killer, you have a badass 80s synth score. It all makes up for a really entertaining experience. Not to mention I felt myself holding my breath at the ending of the film because it gets really, really intense. Coming in at number 5, we got Curtains, the movie that made you terrifying to go ice skating. Now this is a weird one, but in the best way possible. You have a group of actresses all competing for a role in a secluded mansion while they're all being simultaneously picked off by a killer wearing a doll mask. Bonkers. And the most famous scene, we all know, the ice skating scene. If you haven't watched it, after you watch it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The killer is creepy as fuck. It's weird, it's creepy, but it's actually surprisingly memorable. Definitely a classic 80s one that often gets overlooked in favor of the other ones. Coming in at number 4, we're going pure cheese with Blood Rage. That's right, a really fun Thanksgiving slasher that's campy as hell. It's about twin brothers. One's a psycho killer, the other one's innocent. Well, the psycho killer falsely accuses the innocent one of murder and he goes away for a while. Well, whenever he gets released, the psychotic brother starts killing again, and from there we just have all kind of practical effects, blood spurting everywhere. It's fantastic. Yes, the kills are ridiculously over the top, and so is the dialogue. Like I said, pure 80s cheese. But if you want a slasher that's self-aware and entertaining to boot, this movie would definitely be for you. Coming in at number 3, we have Just Before Dawn, which is basically Deliverance if it was a horror movie. but it's still really good. This is another slow-paced slasher, but it's so filled with dread once you realize what's happening that it really captures your attention very well. And when the violence does hit, it hits like a freight train, and the ending is something that you won't soon forget either. You got 5 people going into the backwoods of Oregon to claim a property only to be hunted by a machete-wielding madman. Oh yeah, it's a good one. Just Before Dawn is actually probably one of the best slashers that I've ever seen when it comes to the 80s. I feel like that if it would have had the same budget and marketing that the other ones did, that it probably would have been more of a household name, but sadly it kind of fell into obscurity. And considering that this movie was shot on a shoestring budget, the writing and the acting, everything is actually really well done. Just Before Dawn is definitely a movie that you'll never forget, and I've watched it many times over the years. I would definitely highly recommend this. Coming in at number 2, we got Pieces. You don't have to go to Texas to get a chainsaw massacre. The co-eds at Boston College campus are being hunted by a maniac with a chainsaw. The goal? Well, he wants to create a human jigsaw from their body parts. Sounds like a good time, huh? Now, some of the dialogue in this movie is really over the top, but it don't matter because the kills and the blood, well, they don't spare any of that because we got it thrown all over the screen. And can we talk about the dynamic opening of the film? First time I seen it, I did not expect it. My jaw was on the floor. And the ending's also really well done as well. I would probably say it's so bad that it's amazing. But it's not really bad in a conventional sense because the movie is very entertaining, but some of that dialogue is just rough. But you don't watch it for the dialogue, you watch it for the kills, so I digress. Coming in at number 1, we got The Slayer, a movie that has kind of grown on me over the years because I didn't really like it the first time I watched it. 2 couples are trapped on a remote island, they're being hunted by a supernatural beast, and people are dying. I mean, what are you going to do? This is a slow burn psychological slasher, and my biggest problem with this film was the ending. I felt like that they kind of took the cheap way out, but it's still worth watching just to get the experience for the first time. But it has kind of grown on me over the years. I really wish that we would have gotten the creature reveal a lot earlier than the end of the film, but I also feel like, once again, that we were rug pulled as a viewer. So you have to watch it and kind of make that judgment for yourself. And there you have it, 10 underrated slashers that need more love. Which ones have you seen? Comment and let me know. Y'all have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.